We want to bring in Ambassador John Bolton right now. He is former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. He is a Fox News contributor. Also, we want to warn you that some of the video from this attack is quite graphic that we will be showing you. Ambassador, thanks very much for joining us. Your reaction to what took place last night in Istanbul?
Well, this is part of a war between ISIS and Turkey. Make no mistake about it. There is a multipolar war going on. The attack yesterday, I think, was intended to coincide with the anniversary today, the second anniversary of the announcement of the ISIS caliphate. Remember, the last caliphate in the Muslim world was the Ottoman Empire, and when the Ottoman Empire was dissolved after World War I, Turkey was created as a secular state. So this is a direct attack on Turkey. Turkey, I think, has recognized they made a big mistake in siding with the Syrian forces trying to overthrow the Assad regime. They've been radically changing their foreign policy. But the struggle with ISIS continues as the Kurds, the Turks, and others try and close that Turkish border to deny ISIS access to the wider world.
Yeah, but, you know, it feels like the terrorists are bringing the fight to where the people are. I mean, over the last year, the strategy from the terrorists seems to have changed. You're not hearing as much about it in Afghanistan, but you're hearing it happening in so-called soft targets like airports around the world, whether it be Brussels or now Istanbul.
Well, the soft target is outside the security lanes. That's where the most vulnerable point is. The airport itself is a hard target once you get inside. But I think what ISIS is doing, saying to the Turks, saying to the wider world, as in the case of the Brussels attack, you can try and bring military force to bear against us in Iraq and Syria. We can strike in your civilian land. So it's another warning shot, and it shows what General James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, has been testifying for months in open sessions of Congress. The international terrorist threat today is as great or greater than it was the day before 9/11.
Ambassador Bolton, are these airports defensible in terms of the security there? Because with this airport in Turkey, there's security, which Amy Kellogg was talking about. There's security at the entrance of the terminal and then also before you go into the departure gates. And so they have found at least there are vulnerabilities in other airports, particularly here in the U.S., that seem like we haven't really stepped up the security enough to protect them.
Well, it's true at every airport. The most vulnerable point is where the security checkpoint is. Have you looked at lines in our airports recently? If I were a terrorist, I'd find the longest security line I could, wait in it for about an hour, and then detonate in the middle of the line outside of security. I think, unfortunately, until we deal effectively with the terrorist threat, which means where the terrorists live, not trying to defend here in the homeland, we're going to have to look at some things, for example, that Israel does with a security perimeter at the automobile entrance to the airport, where guards look at people in their cars, they size them up. And as one security expert said last night, and I think this is right, we have to look for the bomber and not the bomb.
Yeah, they do that in Nairobi, where they check cars before they ever get into the kind of inner part of the airport.
Couldn't they just move there? It's like the further you move it back, that's where the threat's going to be.
That's what I just said,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
wherever the security point is, that's a vulnerable point.
Ambassador, we just got the latest number of people, and it's 239 people have been injured. We know that 36 people have been killed, 239 injured. Does President Obama need a new strategy to fight ISIS? I mean, is he leaving the war on terror for the next president, or do you expect that we will see a new strategy in the next 6 months?
Well, it would be helpful if he had any strategy at all. He just fundamentally doesn't think we're in a war on terrorism. You know, it's now 12 hours or more since the attack against the Istanbul airport, and the White House has not said a thing. You know, this is, despite being very quick to talk about some other things as workplace violence or lone wolves, here we have this horrific attack on a NATO ally, a direct shot at Turkey's commerce, its GNP, heavily reliant on tourism and international trade, at a time when it's trying to get into the European Union. This is a terrible tragedy for Turkey. Our president's been silent. He's never, look, let's be honest, he's never going to acknowledge we're in a war on terrorism. We're going to need to have a new president who understands that. That's why I think national security's got to be at the centerpiece of the political debate this
Right.
year, because you get the kind of commander-in-chief you deserve.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up, because isn't there a religious aspect as well to this attack? I mean, this was happening during Ramadan, and doesn't this play into their MO?
Well, sure. That's what I said before. This is the second anniversary of the declaration of the caliphate, which, since Ramadan is based on the lunar calendar and wanders through the solar calendar, 2 years ago it was at the beginning of Ramadan. So the anniversary by dint of the calendar falls within Ramadan, but I think it's very clear this is an ideological struggle from the ISIS point of view. Erdogan was trying to make Turkey change it from the secular state that Mustafa Kemal Ataturk set up. He's trying to purge the judiciary of secular judges, purge the army of secular generals, and basically adopted a very expansionist policy around. Now, he's changed that. He's reconciled with Israel. He said he's prepared to reconcile with the military government of Egypt. He had backed Mohammed Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas before. He's apologized to Russia for shooting down a Russian plane. Russia, a key prop for the Assad regime, which Turkey was trying to overthrow. So at least on the international front, Turkey is reversing gear in a major way, because it sees that what it's unleashed in Syria is obviously tragically coming back to bite it.
Well, we should point out the White House did put out a statement calling this a heinous attack. But no comment as of yet from the president, and we know that obviously he's been briefed on this. Ambassador, thanks very much. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
We will see you soon. Ambassador John Bolton there. We are